This is the moment that marks the end to this situation, this hostage situation. I mean, you can see there the police truck, which is reversed all the way up to the passage, and that door of the van there being opened, further obstructing our view. And I guess that is perhaps part of the intention by the police here to make sure that we do not get any images of some of the suspects. Some of the suspects have just walked into the police truck, but they didn't go in quietly. They've been shouting, and as you can hear now, there are also heightened voices, some loud voices coming out of the truck. And I guess this moment marks the end of that hostage situation which unfolded here earlier, and the time is just actually a few minutes before 2 a.m. in the morning. That is the time at which the police are rounding up and clearing this scene here. We heard from the spokesperson of the police, Captain Vish Naidu, that 56 suspects have been arrested, and of those there were 3 that were injured. And we saw earlier on images of one of the suspects being wheeled out of here in a stretcher onto an ambulance. But the police were very quick to point out that they said that there were no arms, that there were no guns that were fired, but although they do say that they had to storm into the venue when negotiations with the so-called hostage takers failed. Now, that is the scene that unfolded here at St. George Hotel in Irene, east of, in fact, near Pretoria, where you had 2 senior ministers in government, the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Thandi Modise, the de facto Prime Minister, and that is the Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Kungubele, and the Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Thabang Makwetla, were held hostage earlier on. That is after a meeting that they were having with the ex-combatants of the former liberation movements, who were displeased with the message that the ministers were bringing to this meeting. And they say that there was a meeting that was scheduled for 5 p.m. Now, that is a meeting where the Deputy President of the Republic was supposed to address the ex-combatants that are gathered here, but that meeting did not take place. Now, that is the moment here. That is what is playing out here at St. George Hotel, where 56 of those suspects were rounded up, and we saw earlier the police walk into the hotel with packets of cable ties. Now, those are the cable ties. Now, you'd imagine that police do not have 56 pairs of handcuffs lying around, hence they had to use the cable ties. Now, obviously those would be used to restrain some of the suspects, but here, so far we've not seen anyone in handcuff or restrained. We saw some of the suspects walk into the back of the truck, and some of them are inside the back of the truck. We're not quite sure as to what is the hold up inside, but I guess this is the moment which pretty much marks the end of that hostage situation. Quite an embarrassing moment for the government of South Africa, for the government of President Cyril Ramaphosa, as questions will be asked about the safety of ordinary South Africans. And it would be a fair question, of course, given the fact that if ministers with all the security that they have can be held hostage, especially such senior ministers high up in government can be held hostage, what does it mean for an ordinary South African like you and me?